My name is Aaron Benavides. I produce music under the name Shadowsweat, and this is my channel. Welcome. So this is my first video on YouTube doing this kind of thing, and I thought I'd start it off with something that will be guiding a lot of the music that I'm going to put out over the next few months and possibly years, who knows. But it's something that's really, really important, and it's basically a kind of crypto PSA. So for the past 7-8 months, I've gotten really deep into crypto. And I mean, let's be honest, I think everyone knows someone who got really deep into crypto. And I'm sure a lot of people out there who aren't fully into it think it's pretty annoying. The people just show up and then they just kind of only talk about crypto. But I wanted to address some of that in this video, and not just in the sense of I'm not just going to talk about money or any of these things, but I want to address this video towards marginalized people, people of color, queer folks, people from different ethnicities, minority groups, and especially those of us who are artists. So I think that what's really important right now is that we need to start to understand what crypto is and how it works, so that when it is adopted, it's not used against us. And that's, I think, one of the most pressing matters right now, because whether you like it or not, crypto is the future. It's the future of the internet. And that's really what it is. That technology is not going away. Blockchain, all of this stuff. Now, it may not be Bitcoin, it may not be Ethereum, it may be something else, but you can't really ignore the fact that, it's here to stay. And I think one of the most important things is that we as artists, as marginalized people, as just people living here who aren't as the 99%, we need to start educating ourselves on crypto and how it works. And the more exciting part, thinking about what it could do, the ways that it could serve us and help us, so that when it starts getting adopted, like I said, the powers that be can't use it against us, because this is our chance right now. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity to revolutionize the way everything works. This isn't just I think what I really want to do with this is, because I see that most of the people in the space are kind of cis white dudes driven by profits. It's all about, oh yeah, I'm gonna fucking make $1 million and I'm gonna go to the moon. I'm gonna buy a fucking Lambo, bro. Yeah, Bitcoin, I'm making millions, And the thing is that that's not what I want to talk about at all. There's plenty of videos. If you want to learn about the financials and things, I will definitely talk about that and talk about people who to follow for that kind of information. But what I really want to talk about is the ways that we can use this to actually make a difference in the world, that we can actually change things. This is for activists out there. I want to talk to you. I want to talk to the artists, the people who feel like they just can't get ahead because of the way the internet's been structured, people who wish there was another way. Because I think that if you've been feeling confused and frustrated as I have, this is like a breath of fresh air. The potential that crypto holds is infinite. And that's the thing. It's just potential. At this point, all it is a chance that something better could happen, is possibility. And possibility is not everything. As we saw with the current internet, when people were out there, when the internet first came out, it was huge. It was going to change the world. And I mean, it did. But it was going to be this new egalitarian form of communication. Everyone would talk, free information everywhere. Everyone's just working together and sharing their lives and learning about each other. And in a lot of ways, it was that for a while. But as things started to become more useful and we started to find apps and various things, and not everybody wanted to learn how to code. Not everybody wanted to learn all of the back end stuff that goes into it, modems and routers and all of this crazy stuff, HTML. So little by little, things began to be centralized to make it easier to use. And I think that word right there, centralized, centralization, that is really the problem. And I think the big thing, the big struggle now, it's not between liberal and conservative. The big struggle now is between centralization and decentralization. And when we talk about, we are the 99% or any of that kind of stuff, or we need to bring things back to the people, it doesn't matter what party you vote for. I feel like this has to be the first thing where we start. Because if we don't start with decentralization, we're lost. I think most of the problems that we're dealing with, especially when it comes to the internet, comes from centralization. It comes from the fact that just a handful of tech billionaires can decide how we interact, fundamental ways that we interact. They decide how we fall in love now. They decide how we get jobs. They decide how we share our work. And they decide who gets to share to a certain extent. And that's the crazy thing. And that's the thing that we need to fight against. Censorship is bad, even when people are saying shit that you fundamentally, absolutely disagree with. And I think what we have here is the chance to really change things if we can learn how to use these tools. And so what I see, I'm not the most knowledgeable person, so I think on a level here, I'm going to be learning with you. I'm going to be learning and sharing what I learn, doing the work, putting things out, and exploring these things. But for one, I want to draw your attention to the concept further from decentralization to something that is called a DAO, which stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization. So DAOs are extremely exciting, and I'm going to do a deep dive further into DAOs and the implications and the ways we can construct DAOs. And I'll probably try my hand at creating a DAO at some point. But the way that these work is these are built up, these are essentially organizations, you could call them businesses or corporations if you wanted, that are run completely off of code. There is no centralized authority that can change anything. Oftentimes I think about DAOs as like a game where there is no central person who can change the rules. That's essentially what a DAO is. It's a game where the currency that is in there is essentially the points, and we're all interacting. And the point of the game, they each have a goal, a stated goal, but the overall objective of the game is to keep the game going. It's not to win the game, because the strange thing about most sports and games like that is that the whole point is to end it. You want to finish the game so that you can win against the other people. But in this way, if you think about it, like the NFL is a larger game. Think about that as the actual organization. And between the NFL, like between the players and between the different people, there is competition. And that's healthy. It's what we tune into the NFL for, to watch football, to watch teams compete at the highest level. But the NFL itself is a larger game. And there are rules within that about how all the players do business, about what kinds of things the teams can do. And all of that is regulated by a very central authority. These people can choose to change the rules. They can dictate what the players can do, how the players get paid, how everyone gets paid, how they figure out all of the ways that, from the person who's just there at the parking lot, to the person who's filming it, to the person who's playing in the field, to the their personal assistants, all of that is governed by this centralized authority. And yeah, there's a lot of up and down, and it's very complex, but that's sort of the issue that we run into. Now imagine if the NFL was a decentralized or autonomous organization, it would look very, very different, because there wouldn't be some head of the NFL, some leader at the top who decides things. It would be decided at varying degrees by all of the people who participate in the NFL, right? So everyone would be able to vote and interact with this thing and have a say in what the changes are and how everything moves and how everything works. So if the players start feeling like, well, this isn't helping us, this, like, whatever these rules are, they're actually holding us down, or they feel like there are potentially, like we had a lot of issues with this in the past year about racism in the NFL. So if the players start feeling like there's racist policies, and they can manage to convince the team leadership, the coaches and other people, if they feel the same, and if the people who work in the stadiums feel the same, if the people who work like on all the different levels, depending on how far the organization goes, all of these people start feeling like, yeah, there are some racist policies, or they don't even have to be racist. They could just be any policy that seems to hold the industry back or the company back as a whole. Then these people can now bring this up and vote on it. Right now, the players have no power to do anything like that. The players are almost the least powerful people in the NFL in a weird way. And that's kind of the crazy thing. You see that not just in sports, but you see that all over the place. Like, for instance, right now, I'm a musician. And really the biggest opportunity I have, the way to get my music out the most, is through Spotify. And YouTube as well, which is why we're here. But Spotify right now dominates the music industry. And the thing is that Spotify is run by a guy who's not really even a musician. I think it's Daniel Ek. And he can make decisions about how musicians should be releasing music, right? And the thing is that because he's consolidated so much power into Spotify, he now gets to decide how the music industry works. And we saw this, this isn't new. This is how the music industry has worked since there was a music industry, when the beginning of recorded music. But it just seems a little shitty that Spotify can be raking in higher profits, like record profits, and yet they're lowering the amount per song that they're paying to each artist. And that's the reason people are going there, is for the artist. They're not going there just to look at their beautiful UI and stuff. Sure, that's helpful and that's great. They've created a really great product. I think, Spotify is really good on the consumer side, but for artists, it's a bit exploitative. And I think we need to the dream is to create a decentralized Spotify that is run by the content creators, where the content creators have a say in how Spotify works, have a say in ways that they can change their Spotify, change their profile, ways, because right now Spotify only really works for the people who have like in the top 1% of listens. For everyone else, it doesn't make them jack shit. You can get millions of plays on Spotify and you might get like $20,000. And so that's kind of the rub with Spotify. And sure, it's just one level of your marketing. Obviously, musicians have to learn how to have different income streams, but I think the goal is that we can have a platform that works better for artists and consequently works better for consumers without having to have some middleman just skimming off the top. Someone who's not doing anything for the music and the creativity, but is limiting that creativity in order to give a softer, smoother, more digestible product for the consumer. And that's not really what everyone wants. I think what we want is something that's exciting, raw, and at the edge, where we can decide how our music is listened to, and we can come up with really radical and creative new ideas for crowd sharing and mixing with each other. So I've gone a little bit off on this rant, but I'm really excited by this, and I really hope to share this with the world and explore these topics. The more esoteric, the more spiritual side of crypto. That's my goal with all of this. And I'm going to be doing it with my music as well. I've actually just dropped a new track. It's called Matic. You can find a link in the description. And yeah, give me a follow. It really helps. If you like the track, follow it, download it. It's on Bandcamp. It's on Spotify. It's everywhere. So we have to use the tools that are out right now. But I'm also going to be exploring more decentralized apps for sharing content, NFTs, sharing also some more of the stories behind the songs, and sharing more of the conscious side of how this all fits in, how we can think about the world from a more conscious way, and how I think crypto can actually bring us more into contact with the world, how it can have almost what I think a spiritual revolution in how we do business. I think it can lead to that if we pay attention, and we don't get led down the wrong road by the powers who just want to maintain the status quo. So thank you for watching. Like I said, I'm Shadowsweat, aka Aaron Benavides. Give me a follow. Be well. Stay tuned.